Okay, let's have a look at this algebra worksheet. So the first question says remove the brackets and simplify. So remove the brackets just means multiply out, and simplify just means add up any like terms. So the first question, we've got x minus 3 multiplied by 4. So we got it in brackets, x minus 3 and then 4. We're just multiplying x minus 3 by 4. So we multiply, we go x times 4 gives me 4x, and minus 3 times 4 gives me 12. And that's it. So that's the answer to the first one. The second one, we have to multiply 2x by x minus 2. Now I haven't got brackets around the 2x, but I can put brackets in if you want. So you're multiplying 2x by x gives 2x squared. So 2x times x gives 2x squared, and 2x times minus 2 is minus 4x. The third one, we're just multiplying x squared by x. When you multiply x squared by x, you get x cubed. So that's equal to x cubed. The fourth one, we're multiplying 2x by x squared minus 5. So 2x times x squared, well, x by x squared is x cubed, and then we have the 2. So that's 2x cubed. So we just write to the power of 3 up here. That's what cubed means. And 2x times minus 5 is minus 10x. Okay, let's have a look at the next question then. So the next question, we have question 5. We've got these square brackets, and square brackets are exactly the same as any other type of brackets. They're just put in when you've a lot of brackets in the question. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the bit inside the brackets, and we're going to add up any terms that we can. So we've got this 4x still stays the same. So we got 4x. We're not going to do anything with that first of all. Plus, and then inside the brackets, well, I've got 5 minus and then x plus 3. So I have 5. Now I got to go, it's minus x, so minus x, and minus plus 3. So a minus and a plus will give me minus 3 here. So that's inside the brackets, and then I have plus 6. And now I can add up, well, I've got 5 minus 3 inside these square brackets. So that's equal to 4x plus, and then inside the brackets I got 5 minus 3, which gives me 2. And then I have this minus x here, and then I've got plus 6, and now I can just get rid of the brackets. I can add, I can go 4x, and then I've got plus 2, and I've got plus and a minus, which will be a minus x, and then I've got plus 6. So I have, now I'm going to simplify, I'm going to add up any like terms. So I've got 4x minus x, which will give me 3x, and then I've got 2 plus 6, which is 8. And that's the answer to this one. Okay, question 6. So again, we're going to multiply here. So I'm multiplying 4x by 3x squared plus 2x minus 2. So I'm multiplying 4x by everything that's in the brackets here. So I go 4x times 3x squared. Well, 4 by 3 gives 12. And I've got x by x squared is x cubed. Now I multiply 4x by 2x, and it's a plus 2x. So 4 by plus 2 gives plus 8. And x by x gives x squared. And 4x times minus 2 will give me minus 8x. And I'll just have a look and see if there's anything you can add up there. Well, I've got an x cubed, I've got an x squared and an x, so they're all different, so I can't add anything. And then the last one in question 1, we've got 2x minus 3 in brackets multiplied by x squared minus 3x plus 1. So we have to remove the brackets and simplify. We're going to multiply everything in these brackets by everything here. So I'm going to multiply, I'm going to write that out as, I'm going to multiply 2x by everything here. So it's going to be 2x times x squared minus 3x plus 1. And then I have the minus 3. So minus 3 times everything that's in this bracket. So minus 3 times x squared minus 3x plus 1. And now I multiply. So I got 2x by x squared. Well, x by x squared is x cubed. So I got 2x cubed. 2x by minus 3x, 2 by minus 3 is minus 6, and x by x is x squared, and 2x by plus 1 is just plus 2x. And now I've got this one, so minus 3 times x squared is minus 3x squared, minus 3 by minus 3x, it's a minus by minus this time, so it's going to be a plus, and it's minus 3 by minus 3x, so plus 9x. And minus 3 by plus 1 is minus 3. So now we just want to have a look and see if there's anything, any like terms there that we can add up. So have I got any other cubes? No. I've got 2x cubed. I haven't got any other cubes. I've minus 6x squared and minus another 3x squared. So that's minus 9x squared. And then I got 2x plus 9x. So that's plus 11x. and then I've got this minus 3 and I have no other numbers, so it's just minus 3. So this is the answer to this one. Okay, so that's question 1. Question 2 then, we're asked to, what are we asked to do? Simplify the following and evaluate when x is equal to 2. So simplify just means multiply out the brackets. So we're going to multiply out this by this, and then at the very end when we do that, we're going to fill in x equals 2 because it says evaluate when x equals 2. So first of all, we'll multiply out these brackets. So we'll write, it's everything in here by everything in here. So it's going to be 3x times x plus 4, and then minus 2 times x plus 4. So multiply everything in this bracket by everything here. So 3x by x will give me 3x squared. X by x is x squared. 3x by 4, well 3 by 4 is 12, and then I've got x, so I've got plus 12x. Now be careful of the sign here because I've got a minus. So minus 2 by x will be minus 2x, and minus 2 by plus 4 would be minus 8. And now let's just add up any like terms. So I have no other squareds here, so it's just 3x squared. I've got 12x and then minus 2x, so that gives me plus 10x, and then I've got minus 8. Now the second part of that question says evaluate when x equals 2. So that just means fill in x equals 2 into this part here. So I'm going to, instead of an x here, instead of x, I'm going to fill in 2 there and there. So I'm going to write 3 times, and instead of x squared, I'm going to write 2 squared. So 3 times 2 squared plus 10, and instead of x, multiplied by 2, and then I have minus 8. So all I've done here is anywhere there's an x, when it says evaluate when x equals 2, everywhere there was an x here, I just wrote 2. And now I worked that out. So be careful here. This is telling me to square the 2. So 2 squared is 4, and then 4 multiplied by 3 gives me 12. So this part is 12. So I went 2 squared, 2 by 2, 2 squared is 4, and 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. And then I've got plus 10 by 2, so plus 20 minus 8. So what have I got? So I got 12 and 20 is 32 minus 8, and 32 minus 8 is 24. So the final answer after all of that is 24. Okay, let's have a look at question 3 then. So question, I can do it on this sheet, I have a bit of space left. So question 3, what does it say? I have to get it up here. Okay, question 3, you're given 3 parts. So the first part, let's read. So question 3. So the first part, we're given this statement here, this mathematical sentence, and we have to say what this means. So this just means, well, x is a, so this e symbol is a, and then the n symbol is a natural number. So this just means x is a natural number. We don't know what it is, but we know it's a natural number. The second one says y, and then you have this e symbol, and then we've got z. This just means, well, z stands for the integers, so this just says y is an integer. If you remember what the integers are, they're all the whole numbers, positive and negative, and 0. So minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Any whole number can be minus or positive, and it can be 0. And then the third one says we're given x, and then this symbol, 3, and x. So given this, okay, so this says x, and this symbol means is less than, and then we've got 3. So x is less than 3, and this part here after the comma says x is an, so x is and then the or stands for a real number. So we don't know what that real number is, but we know that x is a real number that is less than 3. So it could be a real number, remember, is any number that you can think of. So we're talking here that saying here that x is some real number that's less than 3. Okay, question 4 then. We have to place, so question 4. We have to place these on a number line. So I have, the first one is 2 parts here. I've got minus 2 equal to x is less than 4, and then it says x is an integer. So we're told here that x is an integer, and then x are these integers. So x is an integer that's, and if I look at it from the x is less than 4, And then if I read it from here, x is bigger than or equal to minus 2. So it's any integer that is bigger than or equal to minus 2 but is less than 4. So I can write that out again. I can write it, remember I can write it from the x. So I know that x is less than 4, so I can write it like that. Or if I go this way, I write x is bigger than or equal to minus 2. So x is bigger than or equal to minus 2. And x is an integer. So now we can draw it on a number line. All of the integers between minus 2 and 4. So we've got 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and keeps going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll just go 1 either side. So x is bigger than or equal to minus 2. So I include minus 2. I don't think, so I just put a dot there and I shade it in. So the next integer would be minus 1. 0 is an integer, 1 is an integer, and I have to stop. X is less than 4, so I don't include 4. So I go 1, 2, 3, but I don't shade in 4 because x is less than 4. And then the second one, I'll do it on this side. The second one says, what? 0 is number 2. So 0 is less than y is less than 5, and y is a natural number. So this is saying that y is a natural number. It's all of the natural numbers, and y is less than 5. If I read it that way, y is less than 5. But here it's saying that y is bigger than 0. So I could write that out again, and I could write y is bigger than 0, and y is less than 5, and y is a natural number. So some of you mightn't have to write it out like this, and that's fine. So let's draw all of the natural numbers that are bigger than 0 but less than 5. So I'm going to go minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say 6. Let's put an arrow to mean it, to show that it keeps going. So the integers are all of the numbers, and any of the positive whole numbers. So okay, so let's shade in all of the integers that are bigger than 0. So we're not including 0. Well, 0 isn't an integer anyway, but less than 5. So I'm going to shade in 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I'm not going to shade in 5 because it's less than 5. And I'm not shading in anything in the middle here either because we're not including the real numbers. Okay, so let's have a look. Question 5 then. Question 5 just says, what's the difference between an inequality and an equation? So an inequality has these symbols: a less than or equal to, a greater than or equal to, a less than or a greater than sign. So inequalities contain these, whereas an equation always contains an equals. And that's the difference between the two of them. Question 6 then. What's the golden rule of maths? So we've talked about this a lot. The golden rule of maths says in an equation, I'll write it out, in an equation, what we do to one side, or an inequality, we must do to the other side. Oops, to the other side. It's terrible writing. It'll be grand. So what, in an equation or in an inequality, what we do to one side of the equation or inequality, we must do to the other side. That's the golden rule of maths. Okay, let me see. So you got question 7 then. We have to solve the following. So question 7. So the first one we have to solve. So solve means we have to find out the value of x. So the first one is x minus 2 equals 6. So we have an equation and we need to get x by itself. So all I'm going to do is whatever I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other. So I want to get x by itself here. So to get x by itself, I don't want that minus 2. So the opposite of minus 2 is plus 2. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So if I add it to this side, I have to add it to this side. So minus 2 plus 2 gives me 0. So I'm left with x equals, and then 6 plus 2 is 8. That's my answer to the first one. Second one, I have, it's an inequality, x plus 3 is less than 5. So again, whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So I want to get x by itself, so I don't want that 3 there. So I'm going to take 3 from both sides. It's a plus 3 here, so the opposite of that is minus 3. So I go x plus 3 minus 3 is less than, and whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. So 3 minus 3 gives me 0, and I'm left with x is less than 5 minus 3 is 2. So the answer to this inequality is x turns out to be any number that's less than 2. Okay, let's have a look at the third one. So the third one says we've got 2x plus 3 equals x minus 2. So now remember, okay, we've got an equation this time, and I want to get x by itself. So in order to get x by itself, we have to decide, do we want to get x by itself on the left or on the right? So let's say we get it by itself on the left. That means I don't want this 3 here. So I'm going to take 3 from both sides first of all. So I have 2x plus 3 minus 3 equals x minus 2. And if I took 3 from this side, I must take from this side. So now let's see what we end up with. So we have 2x, 3 minus 3 gives 0. So we have just equals. Then I have x minus 2 minus 3. Well, minus 2 minus another 3 is minus 5. So we have x minus 5. I still haven't gotten x by itself because I've got an x over here. So we want to get x by itself, say on this side. So I don't want that x there. So I'm going to take x from the right hand side of the equation. So that means I have to take it from the left as well. So I'm going to write 2x minus x equals x minus 5 minus x. And if you look, well, 2x minus x is x equals, and here I've got x minus x, which gives me 0, and I'm left with minus 5. So I get an answer of minus 5. And all I did was the same thing to both sides. And then the last one, part 4, we've got, it's an inequality, 3x minus 7 is bigger than x plus 9. So again, I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to do the same thing to both sides. So I'm going to go, okay, let's get rid of this minus 7 here because I want to get x by itself over here. So I don't want that minus 7. So it's a minus 7, so I'm going to go plus 7 on both sides. So I'm going to write 3x minus 7 plus 7 is bigger than x plus 9. And I did a plus 7 here, so I do a plus 7 here. So I end up with 3x. Well, minus 7 plus 7 gives 0. So I just have now the inequality sign. And I got x plus, and 9 plus 7 is 16. So I have x plus 16. So now I want to get x by itself. So I don't want this x here. Let's say we want all of the x's over here. So I'm going to take x from this side, which means I must take it from this side. So I go 3x minus x is bigger than x plus 16 minus x. X minus x gives 0. And I got here 3x minus x is 2x is bigger than, so x minus x is 0, I'm left with 16.